Okay, let's just jump right into this. Brand new explainer, breaking down OpenAI's massive release of the GPT 5.6 family. Because when you look at the developer reactions and the official documentation, it's pretty clear this isn't just some minor incremental update. No, it is a fundamental paradigm shift in how we're actually going to interact with, build on, and frankly, pay for artificial intelligence moving forward. 91.9%. That is the unprecedented benchmark score that basically has the entire AI industry talking today. It's a huge number. But, as we're going to see, that number is really only part of the story. The true revolution here isn't just about raw intelligence, it's about how that intelligence is being packaged and deployed. We've got a really structured look at all this today. First, we'll meet the GPT 5.6 family. Then we'll break down the benchmarks and price tags. Move on to the government rollout restriction. And finally, weigh the hype against real-world value. So let's get into Section 1, meet the GPT 5.6 family. Okay, the era of the one-size-fits-all model with a single effort dial, yeah, that is officially dead. OpenAI has basically split this generation into three distinct paths. You've got Sol, which is the absolute frontier flagship. Then there's Terra, the everyday workhorse that perfectly matches GPT 5.5's performance, but at roughly half the cost. And finally, Luna, which is their incredibly fast, highly affordable tier. What this means is you can now match the specific tier to your exact workload. You use Sol when you're dealing with really complex security research or long-horizon coding. You default to Terra for your general chat traffic and tool-using flows, and you lean on Luna for high-volume routine routing, simple data extraction, or bulk tagging. Basically, you're no longer forced to buy a sports car just to drive to the end of the driveway. Now, for the hardest problems, Sol features this ultra mode that is honestly pretty wild. It completely breaks away from traditional single-agent reasoning. Instead of just pondering in a straight line, it spins up subagents to literally split the workup, run it all in parallel, and then seamlessly merge it back together. It's deliberately trading latency and compute cost to get absolute maximum accuracy on multi-step problems. Moving right along to Section 2, benchmarks and price tags. Because when you introduce three distinct tiers, you really need the hard data to justify exactly where each model sits, right? Looking at the agentic engineering capabilities on Terminal Bench 2.1, Sol Ultra just towers over everything at 91.9%. Base Sol hits 88.8%, which just edges out Claude Mythos 5 at 88.0%. And even the cheapest model, Luna, posted an impressive 82.5% on this exact same test, actually outperforming older frontier models. These numbers show a family of models that can hold up across really long tool-using sequences without drifting off course. But intelligence comes at a really steep premium. Look at the massive trade-off in output costs. Across the board, there's 6 times the price of input tokens. Sol is going to run you $30 per million output tokens, while Luna only costs $6. Let that sink in. If you're processing millions of tokens a day, switching from Sol to Luna for your routine stuff will literally slash your bill to just a fraction of the cost. The benchmark data also reveals some massive capability leaps in biology. We're talking roughly 9 points above the previous generation, GPT 5.5. So actually hit 68.4% on the human pathogen capabilities test. And this huge jump in both science and cybersecurity capabilities, well, that leads us directly into a very unusual situation regarding how this model was actually released to the public. Which brings us to Section 3, the government rollout restriction. Because despite all the public hype and the leaked benchmarks, the reality on the ground is quite different. With all these incredible numbers and tiered pricing models, the most logical question you're probably asking right now is, okay, when can I actually get my hands on it? Well, if you open your ChatGPT app right now, you probably won't see GPT 5.6 in your model picker. And surprisingly, the answer is currently limited to just roughly 20 partner organizations in a highly restricted preview via the API and Codex. It is simply not generally available yet. We're actually seeing a totally new era of regulatory oversight here. Objectively speaking, OpenAI complied with a direct request from the US government to restrict this rollout. This is directly tied to recent executive orders concerning advanced AI security testing and cyber capability reviews for frontier models. Those biology and cyber benchmarks we just talked about, they apparently crossed a threshold that initiated this exact government coordination. While OpenAI stated publicly that they absolutely do not want customer-by-customer approval to become the norm for frontier releases, the reality is developers currently need to plan for staged, highly unpredictable access. The big takeaway here for you is to build your applications with fallbacks. You really need to be able to seamlessly route back to GPT 5.5 if your access to the 5.6 tiers fluctuates during this whole preview window. All right, Section 4, Hype versus Real-World Value. Because there is always a gap between sterile lab tests and what happens when you actually put the tool to work, right? There's this quote from Reddit user CautiousBuy2310 that says, "Benchmarks are starting to feel like GPA scores. Everyone at the top of the class, but can anyone actually do the job?" It perfectly captures the internet's reaction right now. It reminds us to keep the hype in check. A 91.9% benchmark on Terminal Bench does not mean your specific, highly nuanced task gets 91% solved. It just means the AI solved 91% of a very specific, perfectly structured coding test. In the trenches, developers know daily work is, well, it's much messier. We're dealing with half-finished repos, vague product tickets, and tests that fail for legacy reasons literally no one remembers anymore. The community is waiting to see if Sol truly handles unpredictable, long-horizon multi-file changes where context and actual human intent matter way more than just spitting out syntactically correct code. And for creators and businesses, this is where the real value lies. While Sol handles the heavy lifting, like patching a complex security vulnerability, the cheaper Terra and Luna models will likely be your true workhorses for daily production. Things like generating 50 different YouTube title variants, summarizing thousands of support tickets, or doing bulk SEO tagging, those are absolutely perfect for the lower tiers. So, the era of just blindly picking the smartest AI is over. It's now a strict economic choice. Do you really need the premium power of Sol? Or are Terra and Luna enough to handle the actual messiness of your real-world projects? As AI fractures into these highly specialized tiers, the real test won't just be what the models can do. It'll be whether you know which one to hire,